I never thought I would say this out loud, and I never imagined my heart standing this exposed before trembling silence and unforgiving memory. I always believed strength meant quiet, pain swallowed whole, smiles worn daily. I learned early, men do not confess their storms, they survive them. But tonight I break that lesson with shaking honesty and open hands, because some truths rot when hidden. They poison hearts from the inside, and loving you taught me courage that fear never allowed before. I saw myself in your eyes and felt naked without armor. You looked gently, yet saw everything, my flaws breathing, my wounds speaking. I tried running from that mirror, but love follows even the lost. So here I stand unguarded, no scripts prepared, no lies polished, just a heart beating too loud, asking to be finally understood. I was wrong more than once, sometimes deeply, sometimes cruelly. I hurt you with silence, with distance, with careless pride. I chose comfort over conversation, ego over empathy, escape over effort, and each choice cut something sacred inside what we were building. I saw it too late, when your voice started trembling, when your smiles learned hiding, when your eyes stopped asking me. That memory still wakes me at quiet nights without mercy. I replay moments, wishing courage arrived, wishing words formed before damage settled. But regret is a teacher that speaks late and teaches harshly. Still I listen, now more than I ever listened before loving you, because losing you feels heavier than any pride I ever carried. You were not just affection, you were direction for my becoming. With you I imagine growth, not just days passing meaninglessly. I imagine mornings earned by effort, nights held together by forgiveness. I imagined a life built intentionally, not accidentally survived, but consciously chosen. And when that vision cracked, I realized something terrifyingly simple. Love is not found by chance. It is protected by choice daily. I failed choosing when it mattered, and that truth burns relentlessly. Yet here I am confessing, because running ended and hiding exhausted me. I speak now, not to impress, not to manipulate, but to be real. Real about fear that controlled me, real about wounds I never healed, real about patterns I repeated blindly, thinking familiarity meant safety somehow. But familiarity can be a cage decorated with excuses and comfortable lies. You deserved better than my half-tries, my delayed apologies, my distracted presence. You deserved consistency, not potential, action, not promises, arrival, not almost. And admitting this does not erase pain, but it honors truth. Finally spoken, I am learning that love listens before defending itself, before explaining reasons. I am learning that accountability is deeper than saying simple sorry. It is change, visible and consistent, even when unseen, even when unpraised. If you hear anything here, Hear this clearly, without confusion. I loved you, even when flawed, even when fearful, even when failing badly. And that love did not disappear. It matured painfully. Through loss awareness, I know trust, once fractured, does not rush back. On emotional speeches, it returns slowly, through patterns changed, through patience shown, through time respected. So this confession is not pressure, it is permission for truth to exist, permission for you to feel everything, anger, sadness, relief, without my interruption, because love that demands forgiveness without understanding damage is not love. And I refuse to be that man any longer inside your memories. If you walk, I will respect. If you pause, I will wait, because choosing you also means choosing your healing pace, not my urgency. I share this because silence ended and honesty demanded a louder presence, and maybe one day this truth will feel lighter than it feels today. Until then, I carry responsibility with open eyes and humbled heart. This is not the ending yet. It is awakening, long overdue within. And if you stay or even listen, know this confession cost me everything, but losing pride is cheaper than losing a soul that loved sincerely. This is part one of truth, spoken without armor, under unforgiving light, and the rest will follow gently if you allow my voice again. I never thought I would say this out loud, and I never imagined returning after truth spoken with voice still, trembling softly, because part one opened wounds, and this part walks inside them. This is where fear usually wins, where people stop before going deeper. But I promised myself honesty, even when honesty costs comfort. So stay with me longer, because hearts heal by staying present. After confession ends, the silence speaks. It asks questions without gentle words. It asks whether change is real or just emotional. In passing moments, and I understand your doubt fully, because words have failed you before. Maybe by me, maybe by others, maybe by time itself repeatedly. So I will not decorate truth or sell hope without foundation. I will tell you plainly, growth is painful and unglamorous. It requires endings of old selves, familiar reactions, comfortable excuses. I had to bury versions of who I used to be, the man who avoided conflict, the man who feared accountability, the man who confused distance with self-protection and silence with peace. Those versions felt safe once, but safety was slowly killing love. I see that now clearly, with eyes sharpened by losing you. Losing you was not dramatic. It was quiet and devastating. It sounded like missed calls, unanswered messages, and emotional absence. It looked like two people standing close but worlds apart. And the scariest part was how normal I started feeling, until one day I realized normal without love is unbearable. That realization changed something that excuses never could transform. I began asking hard questions about patterns repeated and lessons ignored. Why do I pull away when closeness demands vulnerability from me? Why do I protect ego instead of protecting someone I love? Those questions do not flatter. They expose weaknesses without mercy, but facing them is the only way forward. With integrity intact, I am learning to sit with discomfort longer without escaping quickly, learning to listen without preparing defense, learning to apologize without expecting reward, learning that love is not intensity, it is consistency. Over time proven, I know words still sound fragile because trust rebuilds slower than it breaks. So imagine this confession not as a door, but as groundwork laid for actions quiet, consist, empty, and patient. Beyond emotional speeches, if I show up differently day after day without announcement, if I listen more than speak, if I choose presence over pride, then maybe one day you will feel safe again without forcing yourself. And if that day never comes, I will still honor this truth, because growth done only to regain is not growth, it is negotiation. I want you back as proof of my change. I want change because it is the right direction for my soul. You taught me something invaluable, even through pain, even through distance. You taught me that love demands maturity equal to emotion depth, that passion without responsibility is chaos, and affection without effort is empty. Those lessons stay with me now, etched deeper than temporary regret. Sometimes I imagine you watching this, hearing my voice, measuring sincerity, and I know you are cautious because hope once hurt you deeply. So take your time listening, or stop listening whenever you need. This confession does not chase, it stands still and waits respectfully, because real love does not corner. It opens space for free choice, and your choice matters here more than my desire ever could. If you choose distance forever, I will grieve, but I will grow. If you choose conversation someday, I will meet with honesty ready. And if you choose silence, I will still honor what we had, because love once real does not turn bitter easily. When understood properly, it transforms instead into gratitude quiet, into lessons carried into future gently. This part too exists to say, I am no longer running from myself, no longer hiding behind timing excuses, no longer blaming circumstances for personal failures. I am choosing ownership fully, even when unseen, even when unrewarded. And that choice feels heavier, but it feels cleaner somehow, like standing after a long storm, clothes soaked, but lungs breathing freely. I do not know where this ends, but I know where it begins. It begins with truth practiced daily, not just spoken during emotional nights. It begins with showing up when excitement fades, and routine challenges appear. It begins with being safe emotionally, not perfect romantically, not dramatic publicly. And if one day you notice peace instead of confusion near me, know that this confession mattered, that losing you changed me deeply. This is not closure forced, it is clarity earned through reflection painful, and clarity is a gift sometimes, wrapped in heartbreak and delayed understanding.